Driving up north on the Trans-Canada Highway. The night is sweet, 1,000 stars. I'm driving up north on the Trans-Canada Highway. The night is sweet, 1,000 stars. Should I stay with you? I know. Should I stay for more? Should I stay with you? I know now. Don't wanna leave anymore. Wanna build a home of love and light with you. I wanna build a home. Harvest moon it is, playing in the car. The good old Neil Young is on my side once again. I can see your eyes and I can feel your pulse. Your beating heart gives me the rhythm. Should I stay with you? I know. Should I stay for more? Should I stay with you? I know now. Don't wanna leave anymore. I wanna build a home. Took a little mirror from your magic box. I fill it with the ocean sun. I take it with me whenever I go. Will be like your smile on my soul. Should I stay with you? I know. Should I stay for more? Should I stay with you? I know now. Don't wanna leave anymore. I wanna be that home of love and light with you. I want to build a home of love and light with you. I wanna build a home.
So please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. You're all right, you're not too cold or anything, are you? Is that all right for you here? You're all right with okay. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And on behalf of the staff and management here at the Alnwick Garden and the Northumberland Registration Service, I'd like to welcome you here for the marriage of Richard and Alice. So marriage is a commitment for life. It's the best that two people can find and bring out in each other. It offers opportunities for sharing and growth that no other relationship can equal. It is a physical and an emotional joining that is promised for a lifetime. And when two people pledge their love and care for each other in marriage, they create a spirit unique unto themselves, which binds them closer than any spoken or written words. Marriage is a promise, a potential made in the hearts of two people who love each other, and it takes a lifetime to fulfil. So a wife and a husband are each other's best friend, confidant, lover, teacher and listener, and I hope that you've both found this in each other. So my name is Sarah Mills and I have the honour of conducting your ceremony today. My colleague, just inside, tucked away in the corner there, is Eva Rayner, and she's already checked the legal details of the marriage, ready to enter into the register and then issue that all-important marriage certificate. So tomorrow, you've got proof that today really has happened. And I'm sure that you'll all agree that Richard and Alice have chosen a lovely place to be married in. You've even chosen the weather today, so well done. You've also chosen your own vows, music and a reading, to add a very personal touch to this, their wedding day. And I'm sure that you'll all be able to take away some lovely memories that you can share with them both in their future lives together as husband and wife. So, Richard, may I have your full name, please?
Richard Graham Fletcher.
And Alice, may I have your full name,
Alice
please?
Toolman.
So this place in which we are now met has been duly sanctioned according to law for the celebration of marriage. So if any person knows of any lawful impediment why Richard and Alice may not be joined in marriage, you should declare it now. I think we're all right. So before you promise yourselves to each other in marriage, it is my duty to remind you of the solemn and binding character of the vows that you're about to make. Marriage in this country means a union of two people voluntarily entered into for life to the exclusion of all others. So now I'm going to ask each of you in turn to declare that you do not know of any lawful reason why you should not be married to each other. So Richard, by replying I am to the question. Are you, Richard Graham Fletcher, free lawfully to marry Alice Toolman?
I am.
And Alice. Are you, Alice Toolman, free lawfully to marry Richard Graham Fletcher?
I am.
So the purpose of marriage is that you may always love, care for and support each other through all the joys and sorrows of life, and that love may be fulfilled in a relationship of permanent and continuing commitment. And I'm sure that everybody here trusts these things come true for you both. So Richard and Alice wish to marry each other, for in each other's company they have found fulfilment and love. They've drawn closer to each other and now wish to affirm their relationship by offering each other the security that comes from legally binding vows, sincerely made and faithfully kept. And by taking these vows, you are undertaking a commitment to cherish and support each other faithfully throughout your lives together. So if you'd like to turn and face each other and hold hands if you wish as well. So the institution of marriage must be entered into freely, voluntarily and with the full and unreserved consent of you both, therefore, so Richard, by applying I do to the question, do you, Richard, take Alice here present to be your lawful wedded wife, to be loving, loyal and faithful to her for the rest of your lives together?
I do.
Alice. Do you, Alice, take Richard here present to be your lawful wedded husband, to be loving, loyal and faithful to him for the rest of your lives together?
I do.
So now, in the presence of your family and friends, you're going to enter into your legal contract of marriage. So, Richard, you're repeating after me again, okay? I, Richard Graham Fletcher,
I, Richard Graham Fletcher,
take you,
take you,
Alice Toulmin,
Alice Toulmin,
to be my wedded wife.
to be my wedded wife.
Alice. I, Alice Toulmin,
I, Alice Toulmin,
take you,
take you,
Richard Graham Fletcher,
Richard Graham Fletcher,
to be my wedded husband.
to be my wedded husband.
Lovely, well done. So now, Richard and Alice have chosen this point in the ceremony to make a very special and personal promise to each other. Okay, so Richard, in your own time, you read your promise to Alice. Okay?
Alice, I promise to laugh with you, to help you and to protect you. I promise to be your best friend, to build a life with you, to never take you for granted, to cuddle you and to love you.
I need to do mine. Do I do mine now?
Yeah.
Richard, I promise to always be your best friend, to push you when you lose motivation, and to support you in every venture that you take. I've always had my own aspirations, but when I met you, I learnt what it was to dream. I will celebrate with you in all of your triumphs, and I will love you in all of your failures. And most importantly, I promise to love you always and forever.
Well, I think you both deserve a rest after that. So while those words are sinking in, I'd like to invite Laura forward with her reading. There she is.
So I've been asked to read this by the bride and groom who have written this themselves just for today. The fierce dinosaur was trapped inside his cage of ice. Although it was cold, he was happy in there with his cat named Gwen. It was, after all, his cage. Then along came the lovely other dinosaur. The lovely other dinosaur melted the dinosaur's cage with kind words and loving thoughts. I like this dinosaur, thought the lovely other dinosaur. Although he is fierce, he is also tender and he is funny. He is also quite clever, though I will not tell him this for now. I like this lovely other dinosaur, thought the dinosaur. She is beautiful and she is different and quirky. She is also a free spirit, which is a quality I much admire in a dinosaur. But he can be so distant and so peculiar at times. He likes his own space, thought the lovely other dinosaur. He is also overly fond of strange music. Are all dinosaurs so overly fond of strange music? But her mind skips from here to there so quickly, thought the dinosaur. She is also uncommonly keen on shopping. Are all lovely other dinosaurs so uncommonly keen on shopping? I will forgive his peculiarity and his love for weird music, thought the lovely other dinosaur, for they are part of what makes him unique. I will forgive her skipping mind and her fondness for shopping, thought the dinosaur, for she fills our life with beautiful thought and wonderful surprises. Besides, I suppose I could grow to like shopping. Now the dinosaur and the lovely other dinosaur are older, Look at them. Together they stand on the hill, telling each other of stories of trips to Mykonos and evenings spent on the sofa listening to strange music that both dinosaurs now love. And that, my friends, is how it is with love. Let us all be dinosaurs and lovely other dinosaurs together.
Thanks, Laura, that was lovely. Well, we now come to a very significant part in the wedding ceremony, and that's the giving and receiving of the wedding rings. So this is an ancient and traditional way of sealing the contract that you've both now made, and is the outward sign of the vows you've made to each other. So the wedding ring is an unbroken circle, symbolising unending and everlasting love, and it reflects the lifelong promises that you've both made here today. So we have a little help from Stephen, who has 2 rings, who was assisted by Oscar as well, so well done. So if you could get Alice's ring to give to Richard first, please. Yeah. And if you can pop the ring halfway on Alice's finger and then repeat after me. I give you this ring
I give you this ring
as a symbol of our marriage
as a symbol of our marriage
and as a lasting reminder
and as a lasting reminder
of the vows we have made this day.
of the vows we have made this day.
If you complete the ring, Richard. So, and if you can give Richard's ring to Alice, please, Stephen, that'd be lovely. Lovely. And if you can pop the ring halfway on Richard's finger and then repeat after me, please. I give you this ring
I give you this ring
as a symbol of our marriage
as a symbol of our marriage
and as a lasting reminder
and as a lasting reminder
of the vows we have made this day.
of the vows we have made this day.
If you complete the ring, Alice. Okay. So if you keep holding hands. So these are the hands of your best friend, young and strong and full of love for you, that are holding yours on your wedding day, as you promise to love each other today, tomorrow and forever. These are the hands that will work alongside yours as together you build your future. These are the hands that will hold you when fear or grief temporarily comes to you. These are the hands that will countless times wipe the tears from your eyes, tears of sorrow and tears of joy. And lastly, these are the hands that even when wrinkled and aged will still be reaching for yours and still giving you the same unspoken tenderness with just a touch. So ladies and gentlemen, our bride and groom and 2 witnesses are going to go indoors now to the licensed area just to complete some legal formalities. So if I could just ask you to sit tight and we'll be with you shortly. Okay? Okay, so if you'd like to come in. And who are your 2 witnesses? Right, lovely. Okay, I'll let you go in fully, Eva. So, Richard and Alice, every day you live, remember the promises that you've made to each other today. Continue to live your lives as best friends and strive to fulfill each other's happiness. Be each other's strength in weakness, share your feelings and value each other's beliefs, and be the most important person in each other's lives. Because today's the day that you'll always remember. It's the greatest in anyone's life. You'll start off the day just 2 people in love, and you'll end it as husband and wife. So live happy forever as lovers and friends. It's the dawn of a new life for you as you stand there together with love in your eyes from the moment you whisper I do. And with luck, all your hopes and your dreams can be real. May success find its way to your hearts. Tomorrow can bring you the greatest of joys, but today is the day that it all starts. So, Richard and Alice, you've both now made the declarations required by law and have made solemn and binding promises to each other. I ask all of your family and friends here today, having witnessed this marriage ceremony and your commitments to each other, you join with me and Eva in wishing you both success, but mainly lots of happiness in your future lives together. So it therefore gives me the greatest of pleasure to say, Richard and Alice, You are now united as husband and wife, and you, sir, may kiss your beautiful bride. So what I'll get you to do is, I'm going to get you turned around to face your guests, and then I'll conclude, and when the music starts, you both just go, all right? Right. So I hope you have a lovely day, and I wish you all the very best for the future, all right? So ladies and gentlemen, that now concludes our very, very small part in today's celebrations, but I'm sure the celebrations are only just beginning. So please make sure this fantastic couple have a day full of happy memories. Okay, so just a few thank yous I'd like to say. I'd like to thank Oscar and Stephen for all your help with the wedding rings. I think Oscar especially deserves a massive round of applause. And also to Laura for her reading as well. There she is. And to all of you, their family and friends, for being here today to share in this very special occasion. But most importantly, I'd like to thank Stephen for escorting your daughter here today. He must be one very proud father. So, all that remains for Eva and I to do is to wish the two of you all the love and happiness in your future lives together. So please be upstanding, ladies and gentlemen. Make lots of noise for your bride and groom, Mr. and Mrs. Fletcher.
Stand up.
Can we settle? Yeah, I'm going to stand up. Okay, thank you. Well, those are amongst you who don't know me, I'm Alice's dad. And those who do know me know that I'm probably one of the worst speech makers you'll ever come across. And one of my biggest traits is that I generally get quite emotional and you'll get tears. But as the cake hasn't got any tears, I'm not going to do any tears tonight if I can help it. Now, most weddings go very, very smoothly, and this has gone fantastically smoothly so far, apart from 5 little glitches. Yesterday, I got a message from Richard saying, hell, I forgot my jacket. Can you please go and get my jacket from home? Within about 10 minutes later, I got a message from Alice. We've forgotten one of the bridesmaids' dresses. So, anyway, Christine, thankfully, sorted that out because logistics didn't quite sort me to do it. Then the next thing that happened was obviously the M6 crash yesterday, which caused some of you here some angst in getting here. And it was obviously quite a long journey coming here in the first place, let alone having being held up on the motorway for 6 hours. Then there was the issue around the suit. This morning at 12:30, I got a phone call from Andrew Mills here saying, I look a bit like Tom Hanks out of Big. I think Richard has got the suits mixed up. So he had the bigger suit and I had the little suit. So we had to very quickly change it round. And then finally, we had Lord of the Rings moment just before, when Alice was, obviously, we were all waiting to come along, and good old Oscar, where is Oscar? The ring bearer, fantastic ring bearer. Trouble was, he wanted a sneak preview of the ring, and you could not have predicted what happened. The ring fell out, but not only fell out, it landed on its side, rolled for about 18 inches, straight down to the grass below. Alice, well, you can imagine what Alice is like. She's stressy at the best of times. Anyway, so I bombed off as quick as I could, found the ring, thankfully, and then we carried on with the ceremony. So that was all sorted. Now I've just had to ad-lib that because that wasn't part of my speech. So I'll get on with the speech now. Let me put my glasses on then. I can see what I've said. Right. This is the first time I've ever given a Father of the Bride speech, so I didn't really know what should be in the speech. So I did what everyone else would do, I Googled it. Thankfully, and to my delight, it said, 1, it doesn't have to be long. 2, you don't have to be a comedian, which I am not, and tell jokes, which I'm sure Richard in particular will be very happy with, and Alice, and I'm sure you all will be as well. And I'm not expected to remember it all by heart. So it says, use some cue cards, speak slowly and clearly, and all should be fine. And it says that I've only got 4 duties to carry out, namely thank the guests, share some stories about Alice, mention Richard, and then my final task is to toast the bride and groom. So here we go. Right, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone, all those that have contributed to making this such a wonderful day. It certainly does feel like Alice in Wonderland. And a special thank you to the bride's mum, Christine, Alice's sister, Catherine, and also to Richard's mum, and mum and dad, Leslie and Graham, for all the hard work and effort they've put in to make this such a special day for both of them. I know there's lots more people to mention, but I'm going to leave that to my new son-in-law, because I think that's half his speech, and I wouldn't want to ruin it for him. I'd also like to thank all of you for making the arduous journey over to Alnwick, which certainly was a very long journey, and an even longer journey if you came on the M6 later, and especially to the southern contingent who had come up from down south, and sadly for them there was no platform 9 3/4 for you to catch, but you made it here anyway. That's a reference to Harry Potter, by the way, if anyone doesn't actually know that. I said I'm not doing jokes. Now, I believe that tradition dictates that as a dad, I need to share a few anecdotes about his daughter. So here we go. First of all, I'm sure you will all agree that she looks beautiful, stunning, gorgeous, and the perfect bride. She's certainly grown up into a beautiful lady. So when did it all begin? Well, Alice came into this world on the 8th of August, 1994. And as you may expect with Alice, nothing's ever straightforward. I mean, I don't know whether people know, but she was an IVF child. So her twin sister over there, Andrew, she's a twin, but 4 years between them. So as you expect, nothing's ever straightforward with Alice. she was delivered via an emergency section after a very long labour. Christine went into theatre about 7:45 in the evening, so I'd hoped that Alice could be born at 8:08, which would have meant that she was born on the 8th of the 8th at 8:08. But it was not to be. As I stood on tenterhooks in the waiting room, about 8 o'clock, the anaesthetist came out and said to me, "Have you seen the surgeon? We've lost him." And I said, "And he's needed urgently, as Christine's now under anaesthetic and baby needs to come out ASAP." Anyway, thankfully they found him, and all's well that ends well, except that Alice was born at 8:24 as opposed to 8:08, but hey. The next thing I knew, the nurse passed a bundle to me and said, "It's a beautiful baby girl, and what's her name?" Well, I didn't have a clue. We hadn't actually agreed a name for Alice. And I just sort of said, thinking quickly on my feet, I think it might be Alice. And it's stuck ever since. And that's how you got your name. I also apologise for not giving you a middle name, because I know you really did want a middle name. We apologise, I think, for not giving you a middle name. So I do apologise for that. Next thing I can remember, another time, when we went to Gran Canaria on a holiday with some winter sun. And you were a young child, and Catherine was a little baby. And on the day that we left, Alice started to get some spots on her chest. And we just thought, or we really hoped, that it was nothing too serious. Anyway, we went there. And I remember the first thing that we bought for Alice was a big floating crocodile, which I blew up and launched into the pool, and she loved it, but she wouldn't go into the pool. So we tried to cajole her, but she refused. And this is kind of my confession time. Eventually I got her to go into the pool. She was in tears, not realising that the spots had spread over her body, and she actually had chicken pox. So that's why I think she didn't really want to go in the pool. I'm just glad that social services never got wind of that one. So anyway, we cared for her for the rest of the holiday. On the flight home, probably even worse, she was still covered in spots, but we covered her up so that I guess the rest of the passengers wouldn't know. So if there was an outbreak of chickenpox from that flight, it's a bit like a Simon Mayo father sort of confession time. I do apologise to them. And I probably shouldn't say that because it's probably being recorded. I get sued on this one. Anyway, Alice got her own back on me because about 2 weeks later, I got chickenpox. I've never had chickenpox before, and believe me, adult chickenpox is 10 times worse than man flu. It's absolutely horrendous. Anyway, moving on, Alice went to primary school, and one of my proudest moments when she was there, she was awarded the Mr. Mortimer Prize, which was the cup for the best all-round sports person, which is quite an achievement. And certainly some of her boyfriends at the time, not boyfriends, but friends who were boys, I think they were well pigged off because I think they all thought they should have got that. Anyway, she went on to Kirkham and Lancaster Grammar Schools, made lots of great friends, and some of whom are here today. Next stop was university, where she got the degree in psychology, and again, made some great friends who are also here again today. I could go on and on and on, but like I said, it's intended to be a short speech, so with time pressing. My next task is to say a few words about Richard. Well, what can I say? You can send me the cheque later. He's kind, caring, pleasant, and genuinely a really nice man. I'm sure that he will be a great son-in-law, and he's certainly a credit to Leslie and Graham. Now, many of you probably don't know, but Richard is a talented musician and plays the piano and the guitar. And he's one of these people that you can sort of hum a tune and he can just play it. I hate you for that. But if you just let me indulge just for a minute, I will demonstrate to you how great he is on the guitar. So if you just hold on a second. Pregnant pause. Are you? Oh.
I didn't sign up for this.
Had done. It's one for Oscar, this. It gets better.
Are you going to play the whole thing?
No, it's short. Looking into it. It's nearly finished, don't worry. Oh, you're a bit off that day.
A bit ropey, wasn't it?
Yeah. You're lucky you didn't see the video, by the way. He was in his undies. Anyway, there you go, Richard. Tremendous. But seriously, he is a very talented musician, I promise you. Right, and it's probably the shortest relationship between a father-in-law and a son-in-law on record. He's never going to talk to me again. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting close to saying my welcome. I can see that the groom and the best man are chomping at the bit to get on with their speeches. So there's just a couple of things I want to mention. I would like to mention those who couldn't be here today, namely Grandma, Grandpa, Auntie Penny, Grandad, who sadly popped their clogs a bit prematurely, but I know they'll be watching, they'll be very proud of you. Okay. So, where are we up to now? So yes, the last bit. So it's my great pleasure. So if you could all be upstanding, sorry.
Even with our stilettos, we can do
You can do it. Of course you can. It's my greatest pleasure to propose the first toast to the happy couple. So could I ask you to raise your glasses to the bride and groom, Alice and Richard.
Bride and groom!
There we go. Oh, yes. I better do it as well, hadn't I?
You better had.
Cheers. Thank you. That's me finished for the day. I'll hand you over to the groom now, who has got a very lovely speech.
Thank you.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's good. It's longer than I thought.
Although I'm very happy to be stood here as the groom today, I've got to be honest and admit that getting married was never really part of my life plan. I always thought that I was perfectly happy on my own. I could do what I wanted, when I wanted, nobody to answer to. And by the time I passed the age of about 35, I kind of assumed I was probably going to be a lone wolf forever. And maybe end up turning into one of those weird middle-aged guys you see in the corner of a nightclub with a Hawaiian shirt on, dancing on the road, throwing some shapes. But then along came Alice, who somehow turned me away from that very fulfilling life path, and you might wonder, how did she do it? So I will reveal Alice's secrets very shortly, but first there's a few people I want to thank on behalf of both of us, starting with each and every one of you for making the effort and going to the expense to be here to share with our special day with us. We are aware we've not exactly chosen the most convenient venue in the world. I think the shortest travel time for anyone to get here was 3 hours, and that was us. And I know some of you have come much further, so thank you all. And also thank you for your very generous honeymoon donations on the Alice and Richard gift website. Thank you to Stephen for your speech just now and welcoming me into the family. Not so much for the postman part thing. That's it. I didn't. Seriously, thank you for. It's not just today you welcomed me in. It was right from day one. You made me feel very comfortable, at ease, and at home. So thank you. To my best men, Andrew and Steve. Andrew, thank you for all your efforts, especially in organising the stag do. I had a really great time, I think everyone else did too, and that was due in no small part to the fact that you planned it like a military operation, leaving nothing to chance with all the events and all the timings and everything else. I know I was super annoying because I kept adding new people onto the list when you'd already sorted it, and things got a bit stressful in the week before because of all the snow and people couldn't make it and cancelling, but it all went really well in the end, so thanks. Stephen, thank you for being my friend for so many years, and the many, many late night drunken chats we've had in that time over a Sailor Jerry's and Coke, or in Sailor Jerry's and Cokes, as it often is, and I hope there'll be many more to come. But Sailor Jerry's getting some love there.
I just thought you'd finished.
What?
I just thought you'd finished.
Oh, okay. So, to the bridesmaids, you all look great today, and I'll say thank you first for helping Alice get ready today and get here in one piece, looking so great and relatively, I think, stress-free. But also thank you for all the help and support you've given Alice in the build-up to first a hen do and then obviously to today. Now, I would like to go through and recognise each of you individually for what you've done, but unfortunately, there's about 50 of you, and we all want to eat at some point today. So instead, please be aware that we both know you've all had your own individual parts to play, and we are very grateful. So with that in mind, I would like to propose my first toast. Please raise your glasses to the bridesmaids.
Bridesmaid.
To Alice's mum, Christine, and Colin. Same as I said to Stephen, thank you for making me feel so welcome, for inviting me into your home and plying me with free wine and free food, both of which are things I like very much. Also, Christine, thank you for going above and beyond to create some of the really nice extra touches and frills that make the day even more special than it is already. For example, the eat me and drink me favours that you all see in front of you right now. They were Christine's creation, so feel free to get stuck in, you don't need to wait. I'm sure they'll be very well received, but I know you've done a whole bunch of other stuff too, Christine, so thank you so much for everything you've done. To my mum and dad, I know over the years I've not necessarily been the greatest when it comes to showing appreciation, so I do want to take the opportunity now to say thank you for everything you've done for me, not just in the build up to today, but right from the start. Everything you bought me, everything you taught me, all of the lifts you've given me, all the loans you gave me that were never getting paid back. But most of all, the fact that I know that anytime I've got a problem, I can call you and you will drop everything to help me out. I don't take that for granted, even though it probably looks like I do most of the time. To the staff here at Treehouse, thank you for putting on a really amazing day already, and I'm sure the rest of it's going to be fantastic too. And to Kelly especially, thank you for meeting with us on numerous occasions and being really patient with my hundreds of email questions and being really accommodating with all our many demands. And to Oscar, so I was going to say thank you for doing such a great job with the rings. Well, thank you for doing such a great job with the rings, and thank you for, the rings are now safely on our fingers, I can confirm, which is the main thing. So I would like to raise a second toast to Oscar. Oscar. And finally, with the thank yous, I know Stephen mentioned already, but there's a number of people who would have loved to have been here today, but unfortunately can't be. Some of those people are still with us and some sadly aren't, so my third and final toast is to absent friends. Absent friends. So, let's talk about Alice. Alice's favourite subject. So, Alice, you look really stunning today, and I can honestly say I am so happy that I've been able to marry my best friend, and that from this day forward we can both say that I'm your husband and you're my wife. I think we've been a really strong team for a very long time now. We both look after and support each other. We do pretty much everything together. We talk a lot, we laugh a lot, we don't really fall out too often. And on the rare occasions we do have a little bicker, it's over almost as soon as it started, and you never ever make me suffer with any awful silent treatment or any of that nonsense. You're probably one of the most forgiving people I know. I really like how I'm free to screw up on multiple occasions and you don't punish me endlessly for it. When I think about that, I think of what happened 2 years ago, probably almost to the day, when I was leaving my job at the time and Alice came out with me on the leaving do. And people were very generous that evening. They bought me a lot of drinks and I must have ended up consuming about 12 glasses of red wine. So I was a little bit tiddly, I'll be honest. We get back to the hotel and we go to bed, And then, without warning, I'm suddenly sick on poor Alice. Yep, it's true. Then, if it wasn't bad enough to start with, to make matters worse, I then decided to say, "Why have you been sick on yourself? Why have you been sick on yourself?" I thought she would find that very funny, but she didn't. No. I think anybody else would have absolutely blown up and gone crazy at this point, but Alice was just like, "Oh, my poor baby's not well, have some water." Then she went off to have a shower, presumably to wash all the bits of carrot out of her hair. And anyway, next morning I wake up and I see the horrible stained duvet cover and I remember what I've done. So I'm very embarrassed and apologetic, and I'm expecting to be in the doghouse for a while, but Alice was just giving me a hug and was like, "Oh, these things happen, don't worry about it," and that was it. So it was amazing. I don't know anyone more forgiving than Alice. So it's really, really easy to be in a relationship with you, which is something I value a lot. But I think it's fair to say we have come quite a long way to get to this point. On one of our earliest dates, we were supposed to meet on a Sunday morning for breakfast, but Alice cancelled on me about an hour beforehand because she'd been out the night before until some ridiculous time, like 7 a.m. You claiming responsibility for that one, Emily? I then had a little strop at this point and immediately wrote her off as an unreliable, flaky party chick and vowed never to see her again, which, as you can see, didn't exactly go to plan. But over the coming months, I came to realise that my initial assessment of Alice was not only unfair, it was actually completely incorrect, because for one, Alice is no party chick. Given the choice, she would much rather go to bed at 9 p.m. with a laptop and watch some rubbish TV with me and the cat than stay out all night on some mega party smash up in town. And she's actually one of the most reliable people I know, and is definitely one of the kindest, probably the kindest. I know a lot of people see Alice and they assume she's going to be some spoiled princess, which she totally is, but they don't necessarily see this whole other side to her. And I got an early insight into Alice's true nature back when I used to work away in Barrow. I would be away 3 nights a week, Monday to Thursday, and when I left on a Monday morning, I would leave my cat Gwen with a mountain of dried food piled up high in a bowl. When Alice found out about this, she was like, "You can't leave your cat for 3 days, give me a key, I'll come and feed her." Now, I was a bit worried at this point. I didn't know her that well. What if she came in and trashed my place and nicked all my stuff? Which in hindsight was silly, since at the time I lived in a tiny flat that had mould growing on the walls and had nothing worth stealing anyway, so how much damage could she really do? So I give her the key and I get back on a Thursday and I'm not sure what exactly I'm going to be walking into. And I discover not only has she not trashed the place, it's actually tidier than I left it. The cat's all fat and happy on the sofa. The fridge now has food in it, and Alice is starting to prepare a nice meal for me. And I thought, I could get used to this. But it's not just me she's kind to. I've lost count of a number of friends where she spent hours helping them with their CV, and they go on to get a new job, or at least an interview soon after. Well, you did get an interview. She couldn't go there for you, Ella. There was even some builder at her work who was about to lose his job. And this guy didn't even have a proper CV, just notes scribbled on a scrap of paper. Alice takes his handwritten notes, types them up, makes them look all nice and prints them off. And he lands a new job about a week later as well. So, moral of the story is, if you're after a new job, come to Alice and make the most of her Pimp My CV service. Another time we're driving home and Alice spots something on the side of the road and insists we got to pull over. Turns out it's a drunk homeless man who's fallen over and is in a sort of semi-passed out state. So we help him up and he's all right and off he goes on his way. Alice is doing stuff like this all the time, but I think most people are completely unaware because she doesn't brag about it, she's not posting about it on Facebook, she just does it, which for me is a great mark of a person's character. How do they behave when they think no one's watching? Do they still do the right thing, or do they do what they can get away with? And how do they treat people who can't give them anything of value in return? So to summarise, Alice, I love you very much, and you do look really beautiful today. And I'm very excited to see what the next chapter of our lives is going to bring. Who knows, with a bit of luck, maybe even a tiny baby Fletcher may be involved at some point, you never know. Which I've decided, by the way, we're going to be calling Richard Jr. Even if it's a girl. We have discussed this, but I'm sure it's fine. But seriously, life is great and I've never been happier. So it's now time for me to hand over to my best man, Steve, here. But before I do, a quick word of warning. Everybody knows that the main point of a best man speech seems to be to humiliate the groom as much as possible. Which puts poor Steve in a bit of a tight spot because, as you all know, I've definitely never done anything embarrassing or stupid in my life. So, God alone knows what he's going to talk about. So if he does start coming up with all kinds of weird and wonderful, wacky stories, or he starts dragging loads of skeletons out of my closet, by all means humour him, laugh along, it's very funny, ha ha, good one. But just be aware that not a single word of it is true. Stephen?
Can everybody hear me okay? Perfect, thank you. Okay, so just for anybody who doesn't know who I am, my name is Stephen, and along with Andrew Mills here, we've both been asked to be Richard's best men for today. So firstly, I'd just like to say with a sincere tone that this is enormously flattering, and I'm incredibly honoured to be asked to stand here and to undertake this responsibility. So firstly, a massive thank you to both of you. So certainly very appreciated by myself. And again, and if I do reiterate some of the previous comments, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming, and certainly to everybody who's been involved in putting on such a fantastic occasion, and this incredible venue. This treehouse setting really is such a fantastic venue for any special occasion. If I could just ask, however, for the guys by the doors, just keep a lookout for the Ewoks. We don't want to get ambushed before we've had a chance to have dinner. That'd be nice. And it's this could go better than I thought. It's lovely also to see so many familiar faces from Preston and from the north. It really is amazing how far people will travel for a free meal. And I certainly include myself in that as well. So that's great. Now, one person who wasn't able to travel for the wedding today has just asked me to read a quick message. So this is from one of Richard's old friends from university called Ben. So I first met Rich on day one of university. He was living a few rooms down from me in our halls of residence. At first, I didn't want much to do with him because he clearly wasn't one of the cool kids. However, as time went on, I realised that I wasn't one of the cool kids either, so we became mates. He certainly wasn't the confident Casanova with the ladies that he is now. He became my apprentice and I guided him along. In those early days, let's just say, there were some very questionable tactics on the dance floors of Sheffield. And it reached an all-time low on a boys' cruise to Spain. But there isn't really time for that story now. Rich has always been there for me when I've needed him. He's a sound bloke with a big heart, and Alice has chosen well. I'm gutted that I can't be here today. It just came at the wrong time of the year. I'm chuffed that Rich found Alice. They look a great match, and I wish them a lifetime of fun and happiness together. Thank you, Ben. So, when I was asked to be part of the Best Man duo, I was aware that being asked to be the best man comes with quite a considerable responsibility, and it's not just about making a speech and having some part in handling the rings. So I did a little bit of research, as is the trend today, just in terms of what those responsibilities will be. Now, the first one, and this sort of like goes back to legendary times, is that the groom would essentially choose the best man because apparently he happens to be the most accomplished swordsman within his group of friends. I'm sure that must have been in the small print somewhere, because if he'd seen that, somebody else would be holding the mic. But the reason for that is because one of the important responsibilities of the best man, apparently, is to protect the bride on her big day, should any other men be intent upon kidnapping her. Now, if anybody in the room is thinking about it, I would just say don't. Whilst I don't have a sword with me today, I do have a Mills. And if he has to get up, you'll probably wish I did have a sword. So just think about that for a second. Now, the next important responsibility of the best man is to ensure that the groom gets a proper send-off. Which again leads me to a very quick but extremely big thank you to Andrew Mills on behalf of all of us, but especially from myself, for the effort that went into arranging that. I mean, when the first bar bill of the day arrives, and it's barely even lunchtime, and the bill comes to like 350 quid, you've probably got an idea that the tone of the day has been firmly set. Cut to a few hours later, and when you've got lads chucking golf balls around, dancing on tables, and trying to see how many bowling balls can get simultaneously rolled down an alley at any given time, then you may actually have been forgiven for thinking that this was a group of naughty schoolboys out on high school activities day, and not necessarily a group of civilized gentlemen having a drink to honor a friend. But it was a fantastic day, and again a big thank you to Andrew for that. So, how do I know Richard? Well, as it happens, we actually went to college together, and we even spent some time in the very same classes, which we later found out, because we kind of passed through that phase of our lives without really knowing each other, even though we were in such a close vicinity. It wasn't really until a few years later that we actually met for the first time. And how that came about was that it was really in response to a post on an internet forum for something that we had a shared interest in. Somebody called Richard Fletcher 007. Sounds legit. So I know this. So basically, we arranged to meet for a drink. Now, I know this is beginning to sound like the start of a bad internet dating story, but just bear with me. So when he arrived, he had this rather 90s-looking blonde highlight thing going on in his hair, and he was wearing like a black pinstripe jacket. And I wasn't immediately sure whether he was planning to sing me a George Michael song or sell me some life insurance. I mean, it was way past the 90s at this point, but you know, what's a decade between friends? And I'd also love to tell you about my cool haircut from that evening, but that would be a lie. But as it happened, we found we had a lot in common, so we arranged a second date. And then shortly after that, if you ever wanted to find us, then Friday nights in Squires was always a good shout. I even bought myself a jacket. It wasn't pinstriped, it was more of a suede feel. Didn't want to feel left out. But I did have to draw the line at wearing sunglasses in the nightclub. I wasn't prepared to go to those lengths. Now, one thing that's always impressed me enormously about Richard over the years is that here is a man who's always taken his personal development incredibly seriously. So, you know, when faced with the task of participating in barroom karaoke, Here's the guy who would make sure that he took himself off to the bathroom beforehand, just to warm up his voice and practice a few scales. Because after all those years of singing lessons, when you finally have the opportunity to wow the crowd, you definitely want to make the most of that and peacock a little bit, show your feathers. Because this is of course serious business, and Wonderwall doesn't sing itself now, does it? And then continuing on the personal development theme, here's a guy. He was always very, very keen to make sure he spent a lot of time in the gym. And after many years, obviously starts to cut an impressive figure in a t-shirt. So much so that the guys on our annual away trip quickly bestowed upon him the nickname of Guns. Although he does have a new nickname now. They just call him Richard. And then, as the natural course follows, the student then becomes the teacher. So imagine my surprise when all of a sudden his rather handsome face starts popping up before each and every YouTube video that I ever watch. Because that's never going to get annoying. And I never press skip. Not once, I promise. So then, sort of moving on to the final piece of the responsibilities of being the best man, and part of that was that traditionally the best man would offer some kind of advice to his friend and best man when it comes to what it takes to sustain a long and happy marriage. Now, I'm not yet in a position to be able to offer that advice, unfortunately, because obviously you want to be able to speak from experience. So I did a little bit of digging, and I didn't want you to go away empty-handed, because with this being such an important step and everything. So I found a book. Now, I wanted to buy this for you brand new, but I don't think they actually sell this. I don't think they actually sell this brand new these days in light of recent events. But I understand that the wisdom and the advice is timeless. So here we have Love and Marriage by Bill Cosby. So please pass that along, and that's from.
Well thumbed.
So I understand he has some excellent relationship advice that may help you out a little bit. So, moving on to the first time that I met Alice. And so Richard first introduced Alice to myself and to my girlfriend Tess. And that was, we went for dinner and cocktails one night in Preston. And as the evening progressed, there were a couple of things that really started to leave a lasting impression on me. The first was that it really struck me how proud Richard was to be introducing his new girlfriend to his friends, and that was something that registered with me straight away. And then as the evening progressed, it became more and more obvious that in Alice here was a very warm-hearted, intelligent, and beautiful young woman, and the chemistry and the affection that they had for each other was on display for everybody to see, and it was enormously genuine and heartwarming. So I think I can speak on behalf of everybody today when I say today just feels like the perfect ending to the first part of their story together. So and just sort of in sort of closing, again, I must just reiterate both Stephen's and Richard's words about how about the fantastic job that the bridesmaids have done today, and also how wonderful they all look, only eclipsed by Alice. So really, with all of that said, all that really remains from me is to propose a toast. So please join with me and raise a glass, and this is to my friend and his beautiful bride, to the new Mr. and Mrs. Fletcher, Richard and Alice, to the bride and groom.
To the bride and groom!
Thank you very much.
Sorry to disappoint.
I just want to do an addendum to my speech as well. I did mean to mention as well that for the time that I wasn't around, Alice has turned out in this way because Christine has been very, very supportive, and I don't think Alice would have turned out as she has today without Christine over the last 10 years and their support to Alice. That's all I want to say. Thank you. Yes. I know. Yeah.
Who's hungry?
Oh, Richard, do you want to just mention about the Snapchat story? I didn't.
Oh, there is one more thing. One more thing. For those of you who are young and cool like me on Snapchat, I've created a story that everyone can post to called Alice and Richard. So when you post to Snapchat, we want to get as many people posting as possible so we can all look at it back tomorrow and see everyone's different stories. So if you're on it, please post to the Alice and Richard story. If you can't see it, you'll need to be friends with one of us. So add me, RGF 1979. Thank you.
Celebrity vehicle, please party.
It's now time for the first dance. So follow us to the potting shed, please.
I'd love to welcome you all here to the evening reception of Alice and Richard. And if you would like to get your cameras at the ready, I will ask Alice and Richard to take to the floor for the first dance as a married couple. So if you're ready.
Watching the night sky, or a beautiful sunrise. Oh, there's so much they hold, and just like them old stars, I see that you've come so far to be right where you are. How old is your soul? Well, I won't give up on us, even if the skies get rough. I'm giving you all my love. I'm still looking up. Some navigating, I'll be here patiently waiting to see what you find.